Okay, so I'm claiming that to say God determines your sin, it's a sin to not wear your seatbelt too, by the way, which I'm not doing. Okay, so here's my claim. Not claiming that God determines your sin is blasphemy, technically speaking. Why? Well, obviously, unless it's somehow correct that God determines your sin, of course, it wouldn't be. Well, I think it would actually make the Bible contradict itself. But if I'm right and God doesn't determine your sin, which seems so obvious, but okay. So one of the things that's a blasphemy is taking the prerogatives of God, like the things which belong to God alone, and claiming and then claiming them to be of yourself. So like forgiving sins. They accuse Jesus of blasphemy because forgiving sins would be him presumably not being God, taking the prerogative of God, doing something only God could do. Now, when you say God determines your sin, like, I know not purposely making this mistake, but you're actually saying God, in a weird way, it's like this inverted version of it. You're like, so here's the thing. If God doesn't determine your sins, not only are you accusing God of being guilty of causing sin, but you're saying what you've chosen to do is something that God's doing. So you're making what you do be what God is doing, logically speaking. So it's technically blasphemy, if false. It's false, bro. It's totally false. God didn't determine your sin. You did. God redeems from sin, which is missing the mark. Please renounce it. It's awful. It's blasphemy. It really is. It's terrible. It's false. It's about as false a thing you could claim possible, I think. Seems like. And by the way, for the average Calvinist out there, not all of them, but when you say, this is why I say sometimes I think total depravity is proven by some of the doctrines people come up with that may actually prove total depravity, the fact that people come up with this stuff. The fact that you came up with God being the author of sin might prove total depravity. It just might do that. It's the most awful, insane idea I've ever heard, almost. And, you're not immortal. God alone is immortal. When you sin, that's of you, not of God. So when you say God determines all sin and that you're immortal, it's blasphemy, frankly. It's plain blasphemy. God have mercy.